Much for having me, and it's great to see a lot of familiar faces here. Again, my name is Troy Denault. I've got a couple of things. I've been in this area as an advocate and working in the healthcare community for a number of years. It's one of those, I've been in a lot of different avenues and have kind of found that there were communication gaps, saw, you know, families really need an advocate or somebody on their side when the crisis strikes. A lot of times I found, like I tell people all the time, I feel like Bill Paxton in Twister, that I'm chasing these tornadoes, trying to make the winds go away. And so it's one of those that, in regards to, next slide, I've been around, went to the University of Florida, go Gators, was in the United States Marine Corps for about 8 years. Yes, sir.
Go Gators.
Go Gators, yes. Yes. Now, if we can only field a decent team, but we're getting there. We're getting there. Professionally, I've been in the area I worked. I was on the board of directors for the Florida State Guardianship Association. I ran the Bavard Assisted Living Association for a number of years, was also the president of Bavard Association Human Services. I've just kind of been around. It's not to say that I don't sit still very well, so standing behind this podium is not going to be good for me. So I apologize now, Rob. I move around. All right. Can y'all hear me? Does that work better? Awesome. All right. Well, guys, let me see. I've got some line. All right, great. All right. No, it's one of those that have been in the healthcare community for a number of years, and like I said, you just see gaps in communication. And so started an organization here in the area called Senior Solutions Management, and then most recently have started a company called Sotir and doing, again, family advocacy. Also work for a home health care agency, which affords me the ability to truly be an advocate, because if you're fighting to stay at home, we can bring Medicare services in there as well. But having said all that, if we can go to the next slide, I wanted to talk just a little bit about living choices that we do have. Just in general, from when we're at home, happy, healthy, everything's okay, and then as we continue to age or have different clinical needs. I'm going to kind of go through them, break down a little bit which ones are private pay, which ones are covered by some insurance. We'll go over a few benefits, things of that nature. And one of the glitches that I had for the first go around is I didn't print my slides, so I'm going to have to kind of turn around and kind of look along to see which slides we're on. So whether the search for senior housing is promoted by a serious medical condition or a desire for a lifestyle change, finding the right place to live can be challenging for both the individual and their family. A lot of times when things do start to change, when we start to say, you know what, it's a little difficult to mow the grass, or it's a little tough to get to and from the grocery store and get everything moved in back into the house. What happens? What do I do? And again, Diane hit it on the head. We've got a generation that this demographic was raised by Great Depression parents. Great Depression parents have educated, and your parents instilled values in you that have impacted you your entire life. Well, when your parents went through the Great Depression, if we don't have it, God didn't mean for us to have it, so suck it up and just adapt and move forward. That's how it is, right?
Amen.
That's it. So you just kind of continue to move forward and continue to push forward and don't ask for help. This is a proud generation. We fought world wars, we got through Nam, we've brought art, we've brought industry, we've brought technology, we've brought music. We've been the greatest generation that's ever lived on this earth. Why do I need your help? Well, guess what? Being in the Marine Corps, that was one of the things that kind of got me on this path. It was one that, you know what, it's the smallest branch in the military, and they beat the history of the Corps into us. One of the things that you learn is what these guys did for us, and where they were, and what happened. So for me, it's been a personal passion to hunt you, because you do deserve the help, and I'll individually go around and I will continue to fight to try to find you, to help you, because no man's left behind. That's just it, okay? As it said in that slide, the earlier you assess the situation and you start to realize you do need help and start to reach out, the more options you have. If you wait until it's mission critical, I can't move, I'm in mid to late stages of dementia, my finances are exhausted, things of that nature, guess what? Your options are very limited. If we start to look up front and at least get educated, I'm not saying let's move into a nursing home tomorrow. What I'm saying is it's not, we all know it's not a great, exciting industry that, hey, honey, you know what we're going to do this weekend? Let's go check out all the skilled nursing facilities here in the area. Who does that? You know? Or let's go take a look at some assisted livings. That sounds like fun this weekend. We're all Peter Pan, right? We're all don't need that. We don't need that. But when the crisis strikes, guess what? You need it. So at least being proactive gets you the education and lets you understand what it is. Because there's a lot of slip-tongue marketers out there that'll sell you that we can do this and we can do that and we can do this. But nobody's advocating for you. They're paid to bring you in. Right? Okay. So in that regard, having somebody on your side is vitally important. And it's also vitally important to at least get out there to get a little education. So, as we see aging, isn't that patient and change? Every older adult is different. So these are senior housing choice that's right for one person may not be suitable for another. Everybody's an individual. Guess what? I may be able to afford a place. I may be able to, it may have the best nurses in the state. But if it's got pink wallpaper and it's got flowers all over it and they sing Kumbaya all day long, I'm not going to do well there, right? It's just one of those things that every individual is different. And you have to be conscious of those three areas, the clinical components, the psychosocial components, or what is it that I enjoy doing? Do I like gardening? Do I like going fishing? What do I enjoy doing? And then also clinically, what do I have to manage that is making it difficult for me to stay home alone? So, next slide, please. So, option one, aging in place. We all like home, right? Home is good. We pay mortgage, we got all our stuff there, our car's there, our garage is there, all right? That's where we're at. The things we've done over our life are there, but when it gets difficult to stay home, all right, how and what services are available to help keep me there? So we'll break that down just for a little bit. As we talked about the grocery store, as we talked about landscaping, as we talked about, maybe some housekeeping, things of that nature, there are entities out there called private duty home care, okay? They are private pay. There are some benefits that you can get that will help to, and we'll go over some of those here in a little while on kind of the second part. But in that regard, they can help out with just housekeeping, companionship. If you're home alone, having somebody come in to just spend some time with me. So I'm not, because guess what? Jerry Springer and Dr. Oz are not your friends. All right? They're on TV, but they aren't. You don't get to socialize with them. And as human beings, we are a social animal. We are. We thrive in groups. When we are in isolation, it is toxic to a human being. Did you know that? Physiologically, it's toxic. So you have to have some people around, all right? The next component is, let's say that we've got companionship and we've got people coming in that can help out with some light housekeeping, some doing the dishes, things of that nature. Medicare skilled home care is where a doctor orders to have physical therapists, a nurse may be coming out to help you out with managing those meds that she was talking about, so we're not taking 10 meds a day, maybe getting you set on a system, all right? PT, I fell, I hurt my knee, I hurt my hip, I came back home, physical therapy just strengthened my legs so that I can get around my house better. Coming in and doing home safety evals. That's one thing that a lot of these places do as well through your Medicare skilled component. And again, it's 100% covered. It's not something that you're coming out of pocket on. Utilize this stuff. Ask your doctor for it. They can come out, they'll send an occupational therapist to your house to do a home safety eval. And what they'll do is they'll go through and they'll say, you know what, this step is dangerous. Or you don't have any grab bars here in the bathroom. There's nothing on the ground here. It's very slippery. Okay? A lot of falls happen in the bathroom, guys. We have to be conscious of that and manage that. There may be some rugs that are around. If we're starting to walk with a walker, those rugs can get caught. Or there'll be little lips. Those guys will get caught. And then over you go, and guess what? Now you're in the hospital, and now you're in rehab, and again, back to, I'm not at home. Now I'm someplace else. But I want to be home, right? Right, yeah. Adult daycare is one of those that, again, as you continue to need some socialization, maybe it's just getting out to have some time with the guys, or going out and spending some time in some of these communities that during the day, you do get some socialization, and you get to come home. That's the best in that regard, to be able to flip and to be able to do both versus be isolated watching TV for 12, 14 hours a day. And then home repairs, having a handyman come out to be able to maybe fix that sidewalk in the front walk, maybe somebody coming through to put grab bars in the bathroom. These are very inexpensive little tricks that you can do to help keep you safe and at home versus spending thousands of dollars to transition into an assisted living or a nursing home, things of that nature. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Uh-oh, we have a technical issue. It's okay. We'll wing it. On the second living option that's kind of a, whoop, there we go. There we go. And
You got 4 minutes.
it's, okay. Flip through, keep going. We'll go to the next one. Thank you, sir. All right. Independent living. A lot of communities in the areas, once we do leave home, all right, there are independent and assisted. And you see some of these communities. Independent living, they have independent, assisted, and then memory care in some of them. Some of them are just independent living. Maybe it's like, we'll just say downtown Trinity Towers. Trinity Towers that you see right there on 192. In that regard, that community is all independent living. Okay, they do have meals, they do have some services available, but primarily it's independent. There are also some more senior housing areas that are 55 plus independent. They have some community programs that are there. Home care comes in. They can do therapy projects and things like in the pool where they have aqua aerobics to get your blood going as well as strengthen certain areas. It's just that next step where you still have your independence. They still have modified kitchens that may be a little smaller for people to move around, but it's one that you have an opportunity to just continue to keep as independent as possible, but just have a little bit of support, just a little, all right? Next slide. Then you get into assisted living. Assisted living is when your ADLs, you need a little more support, okay? These are traditionally, they have a lot of, next slide. They have a lot of nursing available. They're staffed there 24 hours a day. You have a lot of different flavors of that. Here in Brevard County, there's about 140 different assisted livings. 140, okay? So for somebody to just kind of manage and, hey, let's go out there and try to figure this out, unless you've been out there to do it, again, we're back to those slip-tongue marketers, right? They're going to bring you in their building, and they're going to wine and dine you and things of that nature. If you have somebody that can go around and understands different license types that these assisted livings have, that understand who does a good job, who has a good track record, knows what their ACA reports have shown to what deficiencies they've had, things of that nature, those are important advocates to have on your side, okay? But costs vary according to care that's involved, all right? So it's one of those that assisted living, there are lots of avenues to be able to help to support it, but next slide. Keep going. I'm doing cliff notes here, so because my timeline, I see a countdown happening. Nursing homes, skilled nursing facilities, all right? These are the ones that kind of like your Melbourne Terraces, your Consulate. There are two sides to a nursing home. It's one of those that they have the rehabilitation side. If something were to happen, I fall, I hurt my hip, I go to the hospital, they give me surgery, I fix my hip. I am not safe to return home at this point because my wife, my husband, or I have no family to take care of me. I have to go to a rehab facility where there are nurses and physical therapists and things of that nature that they work to get you stable and then get you back home, okay? That's the one side of a nursing home or skilled nursing facility. Those are traditionally paid for by your Medicare benefit. It is not private pay, and is one that and now if you have to stay for an extended term, the first 20 days are paid for 100%. After your 21st day, then it starts to getting into percentages, and that's where you have, your secondary insurance that can help pay for it, things of that nature. The other side of a nursing home is more long-term. It is more covered by Medicaid, things of that nature. You can pay privately, but it is more that in the regards as families that don't plan or don't have a plan or have exhausted all of their resources or have entered into a situation to where they did wait too long. That is something that that is an option so that you do have an avenue to go